Right now it's 61 degrees downtown San Diego. KOGO News Time is 8:42. And man, fentanyl is a problem. The chances are really good that you or someone you know has had a brush with fentanyl, whether it's their kids or a relative or maybe even themselves with an addiction issue. Fentanyl and other synthetic opioids are the most common drugs involved in overdose deaths. And with fentanyl, the smallest amount can be deadly. I have a really good friend who lost his son to it, and it hits home. So Dr. James Dunford is the medical director at the McAlister Institute and has seen firsthand the impact of fentanyl in San Diego. That's the McAlister Institute, by the way, and how the county has had to change its strategy on it. Dr. Dunford joining us on the KOGO News Live line. Doc, how you doing today?
Good morning, LaDonna. I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
So, I mean, this fentanyl crisis has come from a drug that I had never even heard of just a few years ago to the one of the leading causes of death in this country. How did this happen?
Well, unfortunately, cartels understood that they could manufacture a cheaper alternative to heroin, and they began synthesizing fentanyl and then shipping it to the United States, where unfortunately we have a big appetite for drugs.
Well, what do we do? What do we do about that appetite? What is there anything we can do?
Well, there are things we can do. I mean, we're right in the middle of dealing, as you said, with a very cheap and highly addictive synthetic opioid, which is the biggest drug threat that our nation has ever seen. And it's going to be a combination of education and awareness, remembering today on Fentanyl Awareness Day, all the thousands and thousands of people who have died from this, and then trying to prevent the next case by conversations that particularly we need to have with our kids.
So let's talk about what we say to our kids, because it's all, parents always feel a little bit weird talking about stuff to their kids that they don't really believe their kids would do, but it turns out they might.
That's exactly right. I mean, this is not the time to be timid or to be hands-off. I mean, this is when parenting really counts. You have to have good, healthy conversations with your kids every day, but in particular, they really have to understand what's going on here. I mean, a dealer is not your friend. A social media platform that offers you a drug and will even deliver it to your home. There's nobody in this that's trying to become your friend, and it's lethal. One pill can kill somebody. So making people aware that fentanyl is just about in everything these days. Fake pills that are manufactured to look like one drug that really contains fentanyl, are responsible for a lot of what's happening here. Kids are using drugs recreationally with no idea that what looks like a Xanax tablet is actually full of fentanyl is going to kill them.
So, one of the things that I know is kind of a Band-Aid to slap on it, but having Narcan available in every home, I think, is a great idea. I don't think that's going to promote the use of drugs, but it certainly is going to come in handy if there was some sort of an overdose. But these parents have got to step up to the plate, don't they? But what about schools?
Well, I would say the same thing. I mean, really, again, now's not the time to try to pretend we don't all have a problem. We all have a problem, and schools, families, communities all have an issue because of the prevalence of this, and it's combined with a lot of the anxieties that kids are actually dealing with today. Most people use drugs to try to escape something, even temporarily. They're depressed, they're anxious, and they're going to try something just to feel a little bit better. And the problem is they have to understand that unless that medication was prescribed by their own doctor, they should never touch it because they can't tell what's inside it. So, yeah, I mean, it is a moment now for everybody to kind of take a grip of what is it that they were really, what is their role here as a parent or as a teacher or whoever, principals, and make sure that everybody understands this is the real deal. And unfortunately, since 2018, there's been this gigantic surge in deaths, not only in adults, but pediatric deaths.
Fentanyl Awareness Day is today, and this drug is dangerous. Dr. Dunford, we appreciate your time. Is there any place that somebody could go on the web to find more information and maybe a little bit of support if they think their kid's at risk?
Well, San Diego Public Health, the Health and Human Services have information. The Center for Disease Control, Substance Abuse, and Mental Health Services all have information about this. And then finally, if somebody really has some signs of addiction, obviously it's important to talk to your pediatrician and get help. We have lots of programs for adolescents as well as adults for opioids. This is a disease. We have to start thinking as an addiction as diseases, but it's this one-time experimentation when there's not an addiction yet that what we're really trying to focus on today. Let's not let one bad thought cross somebody's mind and end up in a death.
Dr. Dunford, thank you so much for so much of your time. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Dunford, Medical Director at McAlister Institute here in San Diego. Fentanyl is so dangerous, and watching a friend lose his child to what he thought was a Xanax pill, it might be one of the worst things that I've ever seen.